interview.
This is an interview by Michael Matuzik and Linda O'Connor. You've lived all over the world. You've traveled for far and wide. Do you have a favorite place or time?
The time that we spent in Zurich, Switzerland was really wonderful. Our family lived in an apartment. A friend of my husband's found this apartment for us, and his parents, the parents of this man, had this apartment, and they had escaped from Germany during the just before the Second World War. So in this apartment was everything anybody could need, including things like all the beautiful furniture that they had brought from Germany, dishes, silverware, crystal, everything that could, that you would need to live, including all kinds of lovely little things in these beveled cabinets that held all kinds of lovely little things that she had collected, the mother had collected. And in the kitchen, we had absolutely everything you could ever need. The only problem that we had was a little tiny refrigerator. It was about this big, so it meant that you had to go to the market every day. We didn't have a car for a while, so we had to do walking, and you can imagine in Switzerland, it was up and down hills, so the walking was something, and carrying all that stuff was hard. Anyway, it was wonderful, and I wish we could have been there longer. And an interesting point, it snowed every day we were there, except the last 2 days. But you just got used to it, and it was very pretty. So.
When you were teaching art, were you teaching art as your main?
Well, no. My husband was an artist and taught at the university from 1962 till 1999, when he finally decided to retire. I taught home economics, which is something that probably doesn't, there probably aren't too many home economics teachers anymore, or much in the way of home economics. But in those days, kids could major in high school in a, something that they thought they would be their lifelong goal. So girls could, and boys if they wanted to, could take home economics all 4 years. I mean, they took other things like English and math and all those other things, but they would center their education toward home economics. And we taught all kinds of how to live, how to take care of yourself, how to take care of a family, how to manage your money, just everything. And then later on I taught quilt making at the State Museum in Albany, at the Institute of History and Art, at the high school here in Guilderland, several other places. So I kept busy, let's put it that way.
That's good. When did you learn to quilt?
Well, it's hard to say, because my grandmother was a quilter, and I spent a lot of time with her when I was really smaller, and she liked to do all the things that I liked to do, or I liked to do all the things she did. And she was not only a quilter, but a person who loved, she didn't have any girls, so I was, the first person to come along interested in what she liked to do. She had boys, so anyway, we had all kinds of wonderful things that we did together, and I would spend, days on end out at the farm with she and my grandfather. And that's where I learned to sew. My mother was a crocheter, not that that means anything, but it's just that wasn't something that I liked to do, so it was fun to be with my grandmother. And then later on, my mother taught me to sew on the sewing machine when I was about 8. And once I had a sewing machine, I had a sewing machine to use, I spent a lot of lovely happy hours sewing. And so quilting was just a natural. And you had to have fabric, and we had a local store right in town where I lived in Florida. And the fabric was inexpensive, and it was fun to buy fabric, cut it up, and sew it together.
Yeah, that sounds cool. You've been quilting and teaching for a long time now. Have these students changed over the years that you've taught quilting to?
Yes, actually, they have. It was, at one time, quilting was a utilitarian type of occupation. In other words, you made quilts to use, to have for warmth and to take care of your family. And a lot of people were sewing, hand sewing and machine sewing, making these things so that people would stay warm. Well, then as time progressed and people got more interested in it, it became an art form. And people were making quilts simply for the enjoyment of making them. They also made small art type pieces. And actually that's what I do now. I mostly do art quilts. And that means taking fabrics and cutting them up and making pictures and or special wild designs, and then painting and putting beads on the top and ribbons and lace and all kinds of funny things. So quilting has evolved from this side over here to over here. There are still plenty of people making quilts that they use on their bed, hanging on the wall, and for all kinds of reasons. I guess it feels good. Fabrics feel wonderful in your hands, and so I think, and also another thing, we have a group that meets here at the library called Nimble Fingers, and that group started out as a quilting group, but then it evolved into a group of other people who do handwork, knitting and crocheting and embroidery and quilting. And it's more of a social event for women to get together, and your hands are busy, and when your hands are busy, it leaves your mouth free to talk. And in the I call it the olden days, but way back, what happened was they called it a quilting bee. When women would get together around a quilt frame, and there'd be 5 or 6 people on one side and 5 or 6 on the other, and then everybody's quilting away, but talking and sharing what happened in your family, who's got what disease, who died, who's living, who moved, all the things that women were dying to talk about. They wanted to get together. They wanted to be together. And so this quilting bee that they had that's what it was. It was really a social event. So you were not only hand quilting, but you were being talked to. A lot of people lived out in the countryside and didn't see anybody from maybe 1 week to the next, or maybe even once a month. So if you had a quilt or if a woman had a quilt and she was making it, let's say, for a wedding, and it needed to be done sooner than later, she would invite all of her farm people, neighbors, and they would all come on a particular day, bring a dish to share, some kind of food, and they would set up the quilt frame, and they would all start on the quilt, and sometimes they could get it all quilted, hand quilted in a day. I mean, sometimes there was stuff left that you couldn't do in one day, but a lot of it could be done in one day. And all the food was set up for lunchtime, and the people would come in and have lunch, and then they would get back to quilting, or maybe they would, one at a time, would go and eat and then come back. And they called it a quilting bee because somebody saw a herd, actually, at a church basement in, I think it was in Cooperstown, New York. A man went to interview this group of people, and when he was going down the stairs to interview these ladies at this little quilt meeting they were having, he heard what he thought sounded like a bunch of bees going bzzz. And when he got downstairs, it was all these women sitting around these quilting frames, and they were all going chattering away. And so he called it a quilting bee because of that. Now, whether that's actually true or not, I really don't know. But that's hearsay, I guess we could say. Now, how has it changed? You're still on that question, right? How has quilting changed? Well, it's still, if you want to think about it that way, the group that meets here at the library isn't a quilting bee, but it is a bee of sorts. It's a lot of ladies that get together. In fact, it gets so busy in here with people chattering, it's sometimes hard to hear what other people are saying because everybody's just having a good time. And getting together, that's mostly what it's all about, is people enjoying each other's company and seeing what other people are doing. It has there are many reasons why people quilt and why they sew, and a lot of people sew still today, make clothing. I personally don't do that. I used to, but that's not something that I do anymore because quilting has taken over my life. So do you have a quilt on your bed?
No.
No?
No, I don't.
You need one. Now you could make one. You know
Well,
that?
my grandmother, she does a lot of quilting and stuff.
Oh,
I mean, she has
good.
them hanging all over the place.
Good.
So,
Oh, good.
yeah.
What's your grandmother's name? Did she?
Jean Paris.
Oh, Jean Paris.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me?
No.
Oh my cow. I just had a little card from her the other day. Well, that's interesting. Yes, she does, and she's a wonderful quilter. And if she wasn't down in Florida right now, she'd be here.
Yes.
Well, not here now, but she would sometimes come to the Nimble Fingers, and she's in our quilt group at night that we meet once a month. And she used to take classes from me at the high school.
Yep.
She's a great sewer.
Yes,
Oh my
she
gosh.
enjoys it a lot.
Yeah, that's great.
Do you have any special collections that you're proud of? Like, I know you lived over in Switzerland, and I'm sure they have a lot of things that you probably took back here.
I did.
Do you have any little trinkets or anything, any collections that you like, that you prize?
I do have a lot of collections. I can't give anything away. Well, let's see. I have a postcard collection. Now, my husband and I have been married 52 years, and I have collected postcards all of that time from everybody who's ever been anywhere and sent us a postcard. And they're from all over the world talking about that. And that's kind of fun to have. It's not a huge box, but it's big enough. Now, the other day at Christmas, I'm trying to show my children, who were both at my house that day, some of the things I have lying around that I don't want to be thrown out just by accident if I go first. And I have this box that's about this big, and it's way up on a shelf, heavy as lead. So we got that down, and they're things that were in my grandfather gave me to have for my sons. And inside this box are all these really, really old tools. Now, one of them was a blowtorch that was patented in 1822.
Wow.
And it said on the outside, there was a piece of paper on the outside, and he had written patented in 1822, but it was Civil War issue. Plus a lot of other things in this box. Well, my boys were like, "Oh, Mom, where'd you get this? And why have you been hiding it?" I haven't been hiding it. It's so heavy I couldn't get it off the shelf, so I just left it up there. And then I have, oh gosh, I have so many collections of stuff. I collect buttons. If I had to count all the buttons that I have, I don't know if I could do it. I could do it if I had to, but thousands. I have thousands of buttons. And the thing with a collection, when you get older, if somebody asks you, do you collect something or do you want so-and-so, and you say, oh yeah, I collect buttons, then everybody you've ever known comes out of the woodwork to give you some buttons. So that's where I have them. I'm actually just holding on to a lot of them for other people, really, because I don't know what I'm going to do with them all. Now, my other collection that I really love are my little sewing machines. They date from about, oh gosh, well, a lot of them are 1945. For some reason, after the Second World War, I guess things were more available, metal and that sort of thing. So some of them are from that period, and then some of them are from the early part of let's say 1905 maybe. I have is probably the oldest one I have. So that's about 100 years, right? Yeah, approximately. And along with that, I have about 15 of those. And then along with that, I have all kinds of sewing paraphernalia from way back, all kinds of little needle cases. And they used to hand out, like at maybe at a gas station, if you got gas, they gave you this thing of needles. And it was like this, it was to advertise the gas station or the grocery store or the bank or wherever you were going to be. And it was this little cardboard thing, and it had a place for all these different needles. And on the outside, it had a really pretty picture of some sort, very colorful. So that and all kinds of spools of old wooden spools and old-fashioned pin cushions. I have a lot of those. I have a lot of old quilts from my family, so I say, oh dear, I don't know what I'm going to do with all this stuff. Maybe your grandmother would like some of it. Actually, she's probably got some she's trying to give away too. Will you tell her, when you talk to her, that she needs to make you a quilt for your bed, for crying out loud? Enough of this hanging it on the wall stuff. Oh dear. So I can't think of it. I mean, I have other collections, but actually at the moment, my granddaughters, we have this ring collection, just funny rings. I think we have about 100 rings that we've saved over the years. So that's kind of fun. The kids get to, get them out and look at them once in a while and have fun with that. So what else? Anything else?
That's it. That concludes the interview.
That concludes our interview. Okay, well, that was very nice. It was nice to meet you.
Thank you.
Very nice. You're a gentleman.